Whoa. Hey guys. Whoa. I don't know whether this angle is any good. I got a bit lazy. Sorry for the missed 3 uploads. Eek. Not doing very well here. To be fair, my life did get mental. There were hospital visits and not fun things. So that's why. And then I was going to film it all and get it all out before today. And basically, I got a horrible virus for it was just 2 days. I was just in bed, just like shivering and sweating, and everything was awful, essentially. Because I've missed a couple of weeks, we've got a couple of songs to catch up on. We've got November Christmas Lights, which is my Christmas song. And we've got Never Learn, which is, it's like a reggae rock song. I love it so much. And I'm going to be eating some porridge whilst we do this. And I'm just going to have a little chat about everything and about the song. This last couple of weeks has been mental. It also means, because I've pre-recorded a couple of these episodes, and the episode that was meant to come out this Monday is going to come out a bit later this week. Just know that I make some pretty strong points in it, and I haven't actually upheld a lot of them. The main one is that I'm never going to talk to this person again. I may or may not have accidentally talked to the person again. You'll understand more next in like a day what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I did speak to someone that I shouldn't have spoken to and was really annoying. Just to myself, not even to anyone. But it's fine. Everything's fine. We're dealing with it and we're moving on. All of the songs I've recorded and done now. Oh my God. Sent it off to a masterer today. And I'm so excited about it. Oh my God. It's going to be amazing. And I've got loads of feedback from people and they're really liking it. So I'm really happy. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about November Christmas Lights first. This song is one of the only like positive songs on the album, message-wise. And it is about a day in Sheffield. In my first year at university, we got given a few like little gigging opportunities around Sheffield, and one of them was the Christmas light switch on. It was essentially just like busking in a little tent thing and like just singing a couple of Christmas songs. It was really cute and really sweet. And I had been so miserable, so depressed for the whole first term of uni. It was awful. I was just having a horrible time. A lot of circumstantial things were happening. It just meant that I wasn't having a good experience because of silly decisions I was making and other people sort of making silly decisions, and that impacting my life. Not fun for Lily Hill. I am doing this gig and my mum and my sister decide to come up and watch it, and it's really quite sweet. And there's a bunch of like little kids, and they keep running up to me, and there's this one little girl who runs directly up to me and is just looking up at me the whole time I'm singing, and her mum tries to like get her away and like go around the Christmas markets, but she just won't. Oh my God, it was the sweetest little thing in the entire world. And they came up to me afterwards and went, hello. You're so cute. And so we're walking around the Christmas markets and I'm just like, this is so nice. This is the first time in a long time that I've felt very happy and good and nice. And my mum was like, oh, let me take you out for like a dinner. Like we'll go to a nice restaurant or whatever. We walk around the Christmas markets and we were Googling and trying to find places to go. And I get a text from a friend. And up until this point, I hadn't spent much time with this person. He's called Joe. Absolutely beautiful man. Love him to bits. We were both in similar sort of friendship groups, like we see each other around, and like we were friends, but we hadn't hung out one-on-one very much at all up until this point. And he just messaged me and he knew that I was in Sheffield doing uni there. He was like, oh, hey Lily, I'm in Sheffield, like what are you up to? And I was like, oh, like me and my mum and my sister were just walking around trying to find a restaurant to go to. We're thinking about going to this Mexican restaurant called El Paso's. We just googled places that were nearby. We were just on the moor in Sheffield, if you know it. It's just like a big long street, and so we didn't know where we were going. I was kind of in the mood for Mexican food. It's like, yeah, sounds pretty good. So I texted him, it was like, yeah, we're gonna go to El Paso's, I think. He was like, that's so weird. Me, my mum and my dad are all already in El Paso's. I was like, what the hell? I was like, we have to go there now. So we end up going to El Paso's. We meet up with Joe and his mum and his dad, with my mum and my sister. We sit down with them, and then his mum and dad go, and then we're just sat there with Joe. We get loads of cocktails, have a really good time. Mum and Willow go home, and Joe's like, let's go on a night out in Sheffield. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I hadn't done many nights out in Sheffield up until this point because I didn't have any friends. So it was nice to do that. Basically, we just went to every bar we could possibly imagine. It was like a mega bar crawl. We just went to the weirdest places. I don't even know where we were going. It was ridiculous. And I was just having the best time. We ended up going back to my flat, sat in the kitchen. We were like, we could do with some like sustenance. So we went out again to try and find a corner shop. Instead of finding a corner shop, we just ended up going to the lead mill from like 3. It was so great. And we didn't get home until like 6. And then I remembered when we got home that unfortunately I was doing a second set at the Christmas light switch on the next day, super early in the morning. This isn't going to be very good for me. So I had about 3 hours of sleep. I got up. It was my first gig with uni, like the first proper thing that they'd given me. I went down to the mall, stood there, and I said to Greg, I was like, Greg, the guy who put the opportunity on or whatever, and I was like, Greg, we may have a problem. I may have taken it a bit too far last night. I may not be able to sing. And he went, just try. It'll be fine. Also, by the way, incredibly unprofessional from me. Just not even the going out, which I shouldn't have done. Just this openly saying, by the way, this is what I've done. Just pretend, Lily. Just pretend that that's not what's happened. I didn't pretend. I very much was like, yeah, I'm very hungover right now. I stood up and I did it again. I did my set again. Oh, also, by the way, at this point, Joe is still fast asleep in my room and I have written him a note saying, I've gone to do my gig now. Like, he was going to come and watch it, but we were like, no, this is absolutely not happening. So I wrote him a note and I was like, I'm doing my gig. There's some bagels in the cupboard if you want some breakfast. And yeah, I went and did my gig. And Greg came up to me afterwards and was like, Lily, that was better than yesterday. What is going on there? I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just better when I'm severely hungover and dehydrated. That's probably what is going on there. Went home, went back up the stairs and saw Joe in bed, and he like woke up as I walked in. He was like, whoa, what's going on? And I went, I've just done a gig. We just sort of rotted all day. And then we went out. So after having like the scruffiest night in Sheffield you can possibly imagine, we just went to the dodgiest places. We then, the next day, had another Google and tried to find some more bars. And we did find some more bars. And we found a cocktail bar called Public. It's just the most amazing cocktail bar place you can possibly imagine. It does the most ridiculous cocktails and they're all so expensive. We just went to this like incredibly fancy cocktail bar and it was like, this is such a juxtaposition to what we've just done the night before. We spent a ridiculous amount of money on cocktails and then we went to like get ready and we picked up all of our stuff and then we just left it on the floor and it was just soaking wet because basically it's an old public toilet. That's what the bar is. It's all original tile and stuff. The floors just get soaking wet. So we just left all of our bags and stuff on the floors and it was just like everything we had was so disgusting and gross. And then we went out and Joe had never got the tram before in Sheffield. So we got on a tram thing and we went one stop on a tram. We had to wait 15 minutes for it. We went one stop and we had to pay £2.50 for the tram fare. It was insane. I walked Joe to the station and we got there and I said goodbye and I went home and I was just feeling so happy. It was just this random day, a couple of days in November where I saw my mum and I saw my sister and they made me feel really happy and warm and nice. And then I spent a proper day and a bit and a night with Joe and I was like, me and Joe are like really good friends now. Beforehand we were good friends, but I was like, no, we're like really, really close now. And he just made me feel so much better. And I think when you find someone like that who can just make you feel better, even when you're like really struggling, you know that that's like a proper friendship. At that point as well, I'd been having uni lectures and stuff for probably about 7 weeks. I brought loads of songs to the teachers and stuff. One of my teachers, Kaya, was like, can you please just write a happy song? Because all of your songs were really miserable. And I was like, yeah, I'll try. And it was that week that she'd asked me to do it. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll write a little ditty. And yeah, it was November Christmas Lights. And I just remember writing it and just being like really content with it. Being like, yeah, I am happy. And I'm glad that I've, immortalised this emotion. The melody's quite sad still, but like the sentiment of it is there are people around me and everything is good. I thought November Christmas lights and like the fake snow and all of that, it's like even though I'm trying so hard to pretend to be happy all the time, like the fake snow and like like I'm just sort of sprinkling a little bit of happiness into everything that I do just to try and make my life be a bit more thrilling. This time I'm not actually having to pretend. I'm actually just having a good time, and I'm actually just around people that I love and that I really value. I just thought it was quite nice. So this poem's called Constant. Constants are never guaranteed in life. In fact, some would say they're impossible. You would probably say they're impossible. I think even I believe it's impossible. We haven't been constant, but when we weren't talking, it was strange for me. Life felt like a t-shirt where the arms were just a bit too tight. There's no position where everything feels completely okay. You're always constricted, uncomfortable, irritated. I don't feel like that anymore. Now we're friends, I hope we stay constant. That's a song about wanting to stay friends with someone. Guess what? We're not friends anymore. The next song is Never Learn. It's a more negative song. It's a song that I wrote about, as I've mentioned before on this podcast, being stuck in cycles with the same people over and over and over again. It's less about the people and more about like my mental state. I never want to feel like I'm putting the blame on someone, because I think as human beings, we're all sort of individual creatures. We've all got stuff going on in our lives. No one thinks that they're the villain in their own story, do they? There are so many people in my life who I'm like, I don't like you. I don't like what you've done to me. They probably feel very similarly towards me. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, especially when you're making art. I think a lot of the time, like I've made lots of art that is very finger pointy and blamey, and it has sort of made me feel a bit better to write it, but I think in the long term it isn't as productive as self-reflecting and seeing what things you can change and how you can do that. The issue is, for me, is that I'm very self-aware and I know exactly what all of my problems are, but I just don't think I have like the self-discipline to actually follow through with a lot of the things that I'm trying to get myself to do. And I think that's a skill in itself that I just don't think I've developed yet. I don't think that's a thing that I'm good at yet, but I'm still only in my early 20s. I have a lot of time to learn how to do that. Like, for example, this week, I just got too drunk and ended up speaking to people that I really shouldn't have been speaking to. But luckily, I have been good at not giving into it, which is nice. It's only when I seem to drink that it becomes an issue, which may be an issue in itself. The song Never Learn, first lyrics are like, she lies on her back waiting so patiently, she turns and thrashes, ends up on her side, decides to hold her breath in case she tries to scream. She's waiting for the moment when she dies. I got told by someone in my class that it's one of the happiest songs I've ever written, and I think it's because he thought that it was about something sexual. It's not. Well, if you want to interpret it that way, you can do. Art is up to interpretation, but this is what I think. I was living in my second year uni house, and I just remember so vividly like just hearing the clock tick and just hearing the seconds pass when I was trying so desperately to go to sleep and just shut my brain up. That's why I'm waiting patiently. I'm just like, just shut up. I'm patiently waiting for the thoughts to go, and just so that I can actually get to sleep. Eating up my insides and crawling out my throat. I guess you never realised I'm trying to go. Get ready for performance art. You're going to feel me burn. I'm holding on despite myself. I guess I never learn. This song is basically a plea for help. It's like no one can see how much I'm struggling, and I just wish that people could see how much I'm struggling, because it's really hurting me and really affecting me very negatively, and I don't like how nobody can seem to understand that I'm going through something right now. I think that's a big thing for me, is like not being believed, because I'm such a people pleaser. I'm such a happy-go-lucky person in every aspect of my life. I can turn on charm no matter how I'm feeling. I will always put other people first, always. Their preferences, their needs, I don't care. I will always. To me, it baffles me when I'm out with someone and it's like we decide to do an activity and someone's like, no, I don't want to do that. For me, I'm like, well, if someone in the group wants to do it, then I will just do it. Which is something I need to work on. I need to work on like standing up for myself. But most of the time it's just not that deep and I will just do it and probably enjoy it. But yeah, so because I present myself like that, because I present myself as up for anything and happy and smiley and yeah, everything's fine, no matter what's going on in my life, I feel like people do know that I've gone through big mental health issues, but I don't think people sort of realize how bad it was. And it's this song is just me going, I know that I'm a happy-go-lucky gal, but there's issues and I need help and I don't know what to do. And it's like I'm going around in these same circles and I don't know what to do, and I guess I never learn. It's like the get ready for performance art bit. I'm just gonna mask it in this like big show. Sometimes it does feel like my whole life I've just been performing, and there's obviously people who I don't have to do that around. Like there are parts of my life where I'm comfortable and just sort of myself, but any new people, it's just like life feels like a performance for me, and I love performing, don't get me wrong, I love it, but that can be emotionally exhausting and draining quite a lot of the time, especially when I'm doing it constantly. And I don't know who I'm performing for or like what it aids, because people aren't actually that impressed by a lot of the things. Like I am a very awkward person. Like we went out for dinner with my sister the other day and like she was just mocking me the way I was talking to the waiter the whole time. But that was me like people pleasing and being like, oh, I'll do it. And like I like sort of bow to people almost. Like I nod my head. I am like a Muppet. I like bow like, yeah, okay, yeah. Like try and make myself smaller and like, I don't know. It's weird. It just feels weird. I feel like I have some issues. But Never Learn is I really like the song. And when we were recording it, it was always like a rock song in my head. And when we were recording it, there's so many different people on this album, loads of different really cool musicians. And for this one, we got this lady called Laura to do the guitar. She's really good. She started playing bum 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 in the verses, and it just gave this like almost reggae feel, like we were all sat like and it just felt quite good to play it like that. So we asked the drummer Ben if he could like play a sort of more reggae beat. As it builds, it turns more rocky, and then it goes into the into like this big rock chorus, and then like it's sort of perfectly encapsulates how I feel at any given point. I feel like the rockiness is like my true feelings of the situation, and then the reggae stuff is just me like like today in lesson, we had a lecture today, and he was like, everyone seems pretty calm about your third year projects and stuff. And I was saying, yeah, it's like because we're all just like swans right now. We all look fine, but underneath we're like frantically paddling away. We're like, oh my god. And that's just how I am all the time. It's like this, using a genre that's usually quite laid back and chilled out and like, oh yeah, everything's going to be fine and everything's okay, with lyrics that don't reflect that at all. And then going into this like sort of heavier like chorus. It's just, I don't know, I think it's a really nice sort of reflection of my mental state. Well, it's not nice. It's not a very positive mental state, but you know what I mean. The poem for this song is called Linear, and it's quite a negative poem, but right now I'm feeling quite nice and feeling quite good within my mental health. I'm not feeling terrible. I'm not in like a spiral. And I wrote this when I was in a spiral, and I watch a lot of Dodie, and I remember she released a video of her when she was depressed. She was feeling very depressed and she was eating some edamame beans, and she was talking about her brain when she's depressed. I just found it fascinating because at the time, it's so funny because like when I was in high school, I didn't have any real mental health problems. Like I was just sort of fine until year 11. So I would watch this as like a fascinating like introduction to the world of like what it feels like to be mentally ill. She would describe like when she's feeling happy, writing notes to herself and being like, it's okay and like everything's fine. And then she'll see it when she's depressed and she's like, no, because I'm always going to end up back here. And I like, now that I've experienced it, I get it so much. You're always going to end up being depressed again. And that sucks. It sucks so much. But when you're happy and when you're in those spaces when you're not, I feel like you can appreciate life a lot more, which is nice. But I wrote this when I was depressed, and this poem feels like my version of that video. It's very negative, but I think it's such a good glimpse into the mind of somebody who is experiencing depression, because my mental health struggles generally stem from anxiety. That's what I was sort of diagnosed with by a therapist. She said I had generalized anxiety disorder. She said I had major depressive disorder back in 2020. I got a lot better from depression. I fell back into it at the beginning of uni, but I think that's the thing that I've managed to battle the most after first year. And in second year, it was mainly anxiety. It does come back and I do feel depressed sometimes. Yeah, so basically most of my like art and my like poems and stuff are written from when I'm feeling really anxious about something. And I think this is like, I wasn't feeling anxious about anything when I wrote this. This was purely from a depression hole. It's actually not that scary or bad, but like I just think it's really interesting. It's a fascinating sort of study of the mind to have written it when I was feeling like that. I've come to realize healing isn't linear, and that's terrifying. It's all well and good hearing about it from friends, TV, therapists, but experiencing it is something else. One day you're okay, you're laughing, smiling, you're the perfect image you want to portray to the world. The next, you go to bed and realise the only thing you've said aloud is that you hate yourself. You pick at the scabs on your body as a constant reminder that not only is your mind ugly, but your skin is now too. You ignore people, turn away from friends, make excuses, and then you're fine. It's been so long since I've genuinely hated myself. I thought it was over. I thought I'd lived that part of my life where I would mutter it under my breath. A mantra of self-loathing that would keep me grounded in my own pity. The constant reminder that I wasn't good enough. It started again. And it's made me realise that this is going to be forever. Sure, I can make myself feel good for days, months, years even. But I'm always going to hate myself. That's never going to change. But it has changed, and I don't hate myself anymore. Yay! In a few years' time I might, but that's okay, you know? That is okay. And I think that's how I'm going to end this podcast episode, by saying it's okay to know that healing isn't always a straight line. I love you all lots, and I'll see you in a couple of days for the next episode that I've already filmed that isn't true anymore. Bye!